As the last rays of the sun disappeared behind the dense canopy, I found myself alone in the heart of the jungle. The darkness swallowed me whole, leaving only the dim moonlight filtering through the tangled branches. A chill ran down my spine as I realized the gravity of my decision to embark on this solo adventure. Armed with a flashlight and a backpack filled with essentials, I took a deep breath, reassuring myself that I could handle one night alone in the wild. The night began with an eerie silence that seemed to echo through the trees. My footsteps felt amplified, making me acutely aware of my presence in this vast, unfamiliar realm. My heart raced as I stumbled over fallen branches and thick undergrowth, trying to find a suitable spot to set up camp. I finally settled near a small stream, hoping the sound of running water would be comforting. With a trembling hand, I pitched my tent, trying to ignore the shadows that danced at the edge of my vision. The jungle seemed to be alive with unseen creatures, and every rustle of leaves or distant hoot sent shivers down my spine. As the night wore on, I tried to convince myself that it was all in my head, but a growing unease gnawed at my mind. The jungle was not as I had imagined. It was a dark, haunting place filled with secrets and dangers. My flashlight provided little comfort, its beam only illuminating a small circle in front of me, leaving the rest of the forest in darkness. With nerves on edge, I decided to light a small campfire to fend off the shadows and keep any potential predators at bay. The crackling flames offered some relief, but they also cast eerie shapes on the surrounding trees, making them seem like twisted phantoms. The night was far from silent. Strange cries and howls pierced the darkness, each one seeming closer than the last. I huddled inside my tent, praying for the dawn to break quickly. I tried to distract myself by reading a book, but my mind wandered, and every creak and rustle outside made me jump. Time seemed to slow down, and every minute felt like an hour. The jungle was alive with the unknown, and I was just an insignificant intruder in its domain. The isolation weighed heavily on my mind, and the constant feeling of being watched intensified my fear. Just as I thought I couldn't bear it any longer, a new sound joined the symphony of terror, a low, guttural whisper that seemed to seep through the fabric of my tent. My heart skipped a beat as I strained to hear the words, but they were indistinguishable, lost in the symphony of the jungle's night. I clutched my flashlight tightly, my knuckles turning white, but I couldn't bring myself to leave the safety of the tent. My rational mind told me it was probably just the wind, but the jungle had a way of amplifying every fear, every thought that lurked in the darkest corners of my imagination. Hours passed in this nightmare of isolation and fear. The shadows outside danced malevolently, and the whispers grew louder, more insistent. I tried to block them out, but they seemed to burrow deeper into my mind, taking root in my sanity. Just as I reached my breaking point, a sudden, piercing scream echoed through the jungle. It was a sound of pure terror, human and haunting. I froze, unable to move or even breathe. The scream was followed by a chilling silence, broken only by the sound of my own racing heartbeat. The silence was soon replaced by a cacophony of movement, branches snapping, leaves rustling, and something large and heavy approaching my campsite. My mind raced, and I considered escaping, but my body refused to respond to my commands. Then, from the darkness emerged a pair of glowing eyes, fixated on me. Fear paralyzed me, and I could only watch as the creature advanced, its eyes never leaving mine. It was tall and thin, with elongated limbs that seemed to glide silently over the forest floor. I could see its twisted grin, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. The whispers grew louder, more coherent now, urging me to stay, to surrender to the darkness. I felt myself slipping into a trance, unable to resist the creature's hypnotic gaze. But a spark of survival instinct jolted me back to reality. I managed to break free from the trance, snapping off my flashlight and leaping out of the tent. With a rush of adrenaline, I ran blindly through the jungle, ignoring the branches that scratched my skin and the roots that threatened to trip me. I kept running until I stumbled upon a trail. Exhausted and disoriented, I followed it until I finally emerged from the jungle and into the open moonlit clearing. Gasping for breath, I collapsed to the ground, grateful to be away from the suffocating darkness. The night had forever changed me. I survived the horrors that lurked in the jungle, but the memories of those glowing eyes and the haunting whispers would haunt me for the rest of my life. I vowed never to return to that cursed place, but I knew that the jungle's secrets would forever remain with me, lurking in the shadows of my mind, ready to emerge whenever the night fell and the whispers began again. I thought I had left my traumatic past behind, but fate had a cruel way of reminding me that some nightmares never truly end. It began when my curiosity led me to a remote jungle, far away from the prying eyes of civilization. I sought solace in the wilderness, hoping to find peace and healing amidst the untamed beauty. As I ventured deeper into the jungle, a sense of unease crept over me. The lush greenery and vibrant wildlife seemed to hide a dark secret beneath their facade. But I pushed aside my fears, determined to find the serenity I sought. One night, as I sat by a crackling campfire, the jungle revealed its eerie symphony. The rustling leaves and distant calls of nocturnal creatures formed a haunting melody that sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't help but feel as though I was not alone, as though unseen eyes were watching my every move. With a deep breath, I tried to convince myself that it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. But the chilling feeling persisted, growing stronger with each passing minute. I decided to turn in for the night, hoping that sleep would banish the unnerving thoughts. But as I closed my eyes, I was thrust into a horrifying dream. I found myself in a dimly lit room, surrounded by menacing figures wearing masks that concealed their identities. The scent of damp earth and decay filled the air. Panic seized my heart as I realized I was reliving a buried memory. In the dream, I was a helpless girl, kidnapped by a group of sadistic men. They subjected me to unimaginable torture, their cruelty etching deep scars in both my body and soul. They mocked my pleas for mercy, delighting in my suffering. The dream continued, taking me to the darkest depths of the jungle, where they buried me alive. The soil suffocated me, and I could feel the weight of the earth pressing down on me, stealing my breath. The sensation was so vivid, so real, that I woke up gasping for air, drenched in cold sweat. Terrified and disoriented, I stumbled out of my tent and into the night. The jungle seemed to mock me, its haunting whispers echoing the trauma I had tried to bury within myself. I felt as though the past had come alive, refusing to let me escape its clutches. Determined to confront my fears, I began searching for answers. I spoke to locals about the history of the jungle, hoping to unravel the mystery that bound me to this place. And there, in the hushed whispers of the villagers, I found the chilling truth. Decades ago, a group of ruthless criminals had used the jungle as their hideout. They had kidnapped and tortured innocent victims, leaving behind a trail of blood and horror. The stories matched my nightmare, and I knew that I had stumbled upon the place where the girl in my dream had suffered her torment. The jungle itself seemed to remember those dark days, preserving the memory of the innocent lives that were lost. The spirits of the tortured souls cried out for justice, their pain reverberating through the very soil that had swallowed them. With newfound determination, I decided to honor the girl's memory and seek justice for her and the others who had suffered at the hands of those monsters. I worked with authorities to unearth the truth, and with their help, we uncovered evidence that led to the arrest of the surviving criminals. As the men were taken away in chains, I felt a sense of closure and relief wash over me. The girl's spirit seemed to find peace in knowing that justice had been served, and the haunting nightmares gradually subsided. The jungle, once a place of terror, became a symbol of healing and redemption for me. I continued my journeys, exploring other untamed places and sharing the story of the girl in the jungle that held secrets of both darkness and light. I learned that confronting our deepest fears and facing the darkest corners of our past could lead us to the path of healing and transformation.